Hi everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Basically, I'll try and keep this quite short, but had some really good feedback to the last video that we posted up. So I just thought I would share an update of where we're at with the cars, what we've found running outdoors so far this season, what small changes we have made, and how things are going, and hopefully give everybody that's interested a little bit of info, a little bit of advice, hopefully get your cars going really well. So I will start with two-wheel drive. Obviously Xray XB2 25. One of the main changes that we made at the start of the season was we went to the 3-gear gearbox, and the reason that we did that was simply so that we were on a level playing field with many of the other Xray drivers at the Nationals, because that seemed to be the preference and we wanted to be on the same page. In saying that, Seth really does like the 5-gear gearbox. It does go really well with the 5-gear, but because a lot of the tracks were bumpy and a lot of the tracks we felt, you know, we may be better off with the 3-gear from a reliability point of view, from an efficiency point of view, and also to, like I said, to be on the same page as everybody else. So we have been running the 3-gear outside. We did start at the start of the season with a 5-gear, and like I said, it was excellent. We may go back to it for the last couple of meetings. We will see. Another change we've made is we've just gone down on the motor a little bit. We were running a 5.5, but we're now running a 6. Obviously we run the ABM motors and batteries, so we've got a ABM 6-turn in there, and I think we've got it on a 22 pinion, and we're running the newer ABM 4800 batteries. We've sort of run those pretty much all of the time, so it's a slightly bigger LiPo, and we are running the RDS under LiPo weights as well. So just take the battery out, hopefully you can see a little bit of that. The little aluminium RDS LiPo that's got the cutouts at the sides, which is really nice, the weight. So interestingly, the car is quite a bit overweight. It's probably about 80-90 grams overweight, but I don't see that as being a bad thing really. I've always found that adding a little bit of weight in the car just makes it a little bit easier to drive. It makes it a little bit more stable and a little bit less skittish. So that's the main thing that we've done, running the 3-gear gearbox. If you watch the other video that I posted with regard to the shocks, we have drilled the pistons. We're still running the same pistons, which are the thin pistons. So we've drilled the front out. The kit ones are 1.6, but we've drilled those to 1.7. And the rear ones are a kit at 1.8, but we've drilled them to 1.9. Now, I don't think many other people are running that. A lot of people are running 1.8s up front and 2s at the back, but we've just stuck with that because we know where we are. Before we were running 300 weight in the back, we even went 250, and we were running sort of 350, 300 in the front. What we've found though is this summer it's been really hot, certainly at the National and at a few of the meetings that we've been to. Generally it's been really warm, so we've had to go up on the oil slightly. What I do is I just keep like a little note on my phone rather than having loads of setup sheets, so I can just basically update that and see what we're running. So in the rear we've gone from 300 to 350, and in the front I think we were at 350 and we've actually gone to 450 in the front, and that's what we ran at the last couple of meetings we've been to. That was the Robin Hood regional, and I can't remember where the National was before that, but that's basically what we've run. Oh, it was Bury National. Car's been going really well. We've found almost unanimously for Seth and I, we've preferred the red and orange wheel speed springs. That's what we've been running. We have on the odd occasion run the reds on the back, which are a bit stiffer, and the greens on the front, but generally, because we race in the northeast, we're racing at places like Bury, Robin Hood, been racing on grass up at is it Durham, Teesside? I was getting confused. Yeah, so we found red springs on the front, orange springs on the back. That's been what we've really liked. And as I've sort of shown before, we've got quite a lot of compliance in the car in terms of, you know, it does feel quite soft. The front feels a little bit stiffer now because we've gone up to the 450, but that was really just to make the front a little bit easier to drive, stop it diving in quite so much. In terms of links and things like that, nothing unusual really. On the back, I think we've just got the standard sort of 2mm washer under the inner ball stud for the camber arm, which is normally sort of what we would run outdoors. So we've got a little bit of angle on this back camber link, so we do get a little bit of camber change, which gives us a bit of grip. In terms of the pills on the back of the car, as I explained in the last video, we were running middle, so that's the dot right in the middle of the pill at the front and at the back. The only change we've made from that is at the back, we're still in the middle, so we're still getting 3 degrees rear toe, but we've actually run the pill higher to get 1 degree less anti-squat. So that means that the wishbones on the back of the car are more level as opposed to angled up as it's driving along. They're a little bit more level. And we just found that that made it go over the bumps just a little bit better. Just made it ride over them instead of, obviously, the more angle you've got, you sort of, the back of the car, the wishbone sort of hitting the bump, but as you sort of bring that more level, it's just going to sort of skim over it a little bit more. So we've found that certainly running a little bit less anti-squat on the back has been good on the bumpy tracks. In terms of shock positions, because we're running a slightly heavier oil in the back, we've actually come in now. We were on the, not the outermost hole, not the second, we were on the second outermost hole, and now we're on the third at the back of the car. So on here, we're now 3 holes in from this side. And then on the actual wishbone, it's quite hard to see, but on the wishbone, we are sort of in, we're not on the outer hole, we're actually more towards the inside. I'll try and show a better shot of that close-up detail because that's difficult to see. So I think that pretty much covers the back. You can see there that we've got a roll bar on. I do like to run a roll bar if we can get away with it. This is a very thin one. It's only about a 1, probably a 1.1. It's sort of like a custom one. At Robin Hood, we found that running no roll bar was very, very good. A lot of people didn't run roll bars. But certainly when you put brand new tyres on, you could run a roll bar, and it didn't spoil the handling of the car at all. And when you've got brand new tyres on and high speed at the end of the straight and things like that, anything you can do to try and stop the thing falling over is good news. What else have we got? On the front of the car, we're still running the Will Speed front alloy mount there. Nothing's changed. We're running the camber link long at the front. What we found is if we run the camber link long at the front, that just makes the steering a little bit smoother, just makes it a little bit nicer to drive. If you want a bit more snap, if you want a little bit more sort of turning, running that link shorter will sort of make things a little bit more snappy. So yeah, it's just a personal preference. And then on the front of the car again, on the actual hubs, we pretty much always run the longer top hat spacer for the hub to the bottom, pretty much always. So that's the main things. Ride height, and droop are two things that we've found are really, really important. I like to run the car as low as humanly possible for the given track conditions. So just basically just watch the car go around, see if it's bottoming out, see if it's catching anywhere. If it isn't, personally, I would try and lower it. We've been running sort of 15, 16 millimeter ride height, just ever so slightly higher at the back than at the front. Yeah, just basically get the car as low as you can, whilst it not, you know, hitting the bottom of it, hitting the track and getting upset over the bumps. And then the last thing really that I think a lot of people sort of overlook when they're setting the cars up. You'll see lots of people looking at everybody's cars and seeing what the suspension's like, you know, feel what that's like. But essentially, when you've got an amount of sort of down travel, which you obviously have when you press the back of the car, you need an amount of up travel as well. You need a reasonable amount of droop. Certainly on the two-wheel drive, I think you can see there that's the car level, and then as I come to pull that up, we've got quite a lot, and then still quite a lot. Now the wheels are going to come away. There you go. So we can almost get, you know, I can get my hand under there quite easily. We've got quite a lot of droop on the back of the car. And that just makes a massive difference to how the car sort of handles going down a bumpy straight, going through bumpy sections, because the car, not only are the forces being applied pushing the car down, they're also, the car's obviously also lifting, and it's going light when it goes over a bump. And what you want, in an ideal world, what you want to happen is, you know, unless you're going over a jump and then the car's obviously going to leave the ground, you want the car to be able to track the ground, and for the wheels not to leave the ground is the ideal situation. And the easiest place to watch that I always find when I'm watching Seth's car is going down the straight. When the car goes down the straight, there are no jumps, even if it's a bumpy track. The car should go down the straight without the back end skitting around. The body work should remain relatively level, and the suspension should be doing all the hard work, keeping the chassis and keeping the car fixed to the ground, keeping it level, keeping everything in check, making sure that the tyres don't leave the track. And you can see that. Just watch the body of the car. You don't really need to watch anything else. If the body looks like it's staying level, then you'll be close. If it's skitting around a bit, then possibly your shock setup on the back is too stiff, your oil's too hard, or your pistons maybe need to have bigger holes in them. Lots of different things, but effectively you need to go softer on the back of the car. The only other thing that we've played around with are the Will Speed front alloy sort of wishbone mount thing there. Forgotten what they're called, the proper name for those. The caster blocks there at the front, I think that's what it's called, isn't it? At the moment, Seth has got the light block in there, so it's the Will Speed one, so it's not the steel one, it's the aluminium one, and it's the 0 degree one. What we found is that with the Will Speed blocks, where we can add some caster to the front of the car, it is very much a personal choice, in my opinion. We found that when we add the, I think the plus 5 degree blocks, when we add that block, it seems to give the car a lot more sort of mid and exit steering. And if you like that kind of thing, it can feel really, really nice. But if you're quite aggressive and you're quite fast through the corners, it can feel a little bit much. Personally, I'm nowhere near as quick as the vast majority of drivers, and I'm nowhere near as quick as Seth. I like the plus 5 caster block. I think it feels really nice because the car just feels like really alive through the twisty sections of the track. Seth has run it a couple of times. He's gone well with it, but we did a test day recently and back to them, and on the same setup, he definitely preferred the 0 degree. That was over at Robin Hood, just because the car was it was too aggressive coming out the corners. It just had too much steering. And obviously, there's lots of other things you can do to turn the steering down, but it's definitely a nice tuning option, and I think we'll definitely use them inside, again, to gain more steering inside on sort of tight technical tracks and carpet tracks. So that's the 2-wheel drive. Only other things worth mentioning, I guess, but I probably need to do another video on it, is Speedo motor settings. We've got the latest hobby wings in here, the G3 I think it is, with the latest firmware on. So the settings on these are quite different, but we found that we really like how the Speedo feels with the freewheeling enabled. We use that with drag brake. We've also found that we like to have a little bit of softening on the Speedo, maybe 5 or 10 degrees, just to take a little bit of the initial sort of aggression out of the throttle. And we also run quite a low throttle rate. We've been running 7, which is equivalent to about, I think it's equivalent to about 15 what you would have run on the older Speedos. So a throttle rate of 7 on the carpet car. Obviously this is the full carpet car, not the wet car, obviously. And then on the motors, we have been, once we've found a really nice sweet spot with the setup and we're happy, what we've been tweaking a little bit is the timing on the motor. And I think, again, that's something that a lot of people don't mess with, possibly gets overlooked. The mechanical timing on the end of the motor end bell can make quite a significant difference to how the car feels. It can make a significant difference to how powerful the car is and how fast it is down the straight. Whereas changing small things on the Speedo possibly aren't going to give you significant changes, but certainly what we found on the ABM motors is that we've got quite a nice range of power by turning the end bell down a little bit. So like on the low grip car, for example, or if it's sandy or if it's wet, and if we're running this car and we need to tame the car right down, maybe it just, there's a shower at the start of a run or something, a really quick thing you can do is just turn the motor timing down on the end bell to maybe 10 degrees. And then if if it's full dry and you just need a little bit more power, you can go to 20, 30, maybe 35 degrees on the end bell. I think the kit setting's about 30. But it's definitely something worth playing with. Really easy. It's a really easy thing to change. It's something to keep an eye on. So I think that's pretty much it for the dry car. We've got the roll bar on the front. Pretty much always run the roll bar on the front, pretty much. Never felt the need for more steering. But on that topic, I'll just quickly touch on tyres. Tyres are a tricky one. Again, what we tried to do at the start of the outdoor series and the nationals is we sort of tried to run with the crowd, and tried to sort of follow what everybody else was doing on tyres. And cut staggers were sort of the preference at a lot of tracks. A lot of people were running cut staggers. So we sort of went down that road and we've run cut staggers sort of most of the season. But interestingly, we were at the Robin Hood regional the other week, and Seth ran cut staggers all day through qualifying, and he was ever so slightly off the pace of the sort of very front runners. I think he qualified 4th or 5th or something like that in 2-wheel drive. But I could see, as the day went on and the sand came up on the track, I could see the car pushing out the corners. And our friends Callum and Reese, they were running splinters, and you could just see that they could get into and out of the corners without the car pushing on quite so much. So we switched to splinters for the final, and the car was miles better. I mean, the final was just a nightmare, but that's a different story. But the car was miles better, and Seth was right on the pace. So, you know, I think it is a preference thing. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it, but you know, you just need to keep an eye on what the track's doing. Ideally, you need to try both options, but the grip does change on a lot of the tracks that we run on through the day. So it's difficult. Just watch what the fast guys are doing, and maybe go down that road. But I certainly think, you know, we did start the season on splinters when we ran outdoors for the first few times at Bury when the car went really well, and then we did switch to staggers. So just before we finish on the dry car, one thing that I almost forgot to mention is on the back of the car, the diff. Now, we've run the gear diff pretty much at every track. Again, always try and run the gear diff if at all possible. Just get more drive out of the car. It's one less thing to worry about. It's not going to slip. But we have run on grass as well. And when we ran on grass, obviously when we ran on grass, we ran the ball diff. And also when we were running on grass, it did rain. So interestingly, we got the sort of most performance out of wet grass with the dry car, with the ball diff in, and obviously ballistic tyres set up to run on grass. And in terms of the diff height in the back of the car, the diff inserts are 2 dots to the top, which we've pretty much run everywhere on AstroTurf. So that's the diff in the next to lowest setting. And then the hubs, we are running the taller of the 2 hubs. And again, I've talked about this before. These are the hubs that you get now with the 25 cars. You don't get the small hub anymore, you only get the tall hub. And what we've found with the tall hub is if it's dry and there's plenty of grip, running the tall hub high seems to yield the best results. If the track's a little bit intermediate, if it's a little bit sandy, or if you just need a little bit more grip, lowering that hub down a little bit is, in my opinion, the way to go. So we were at Robin Hood at the last meeting, and we've got that tall hub on the back of the car, but we've got it in the lowest setting. So we've still got, when you look at the back of the car, we've still got the drive shafts effectively level, and if they're not level, they want to be slightly angled down towards the center of the car. So basically on the back of the car, you need to, there's 3 things that you've got to get right, and if you don't get these 3 things right, your car's just not going to run well. It's not going to handle well. You need to decide what ride height you're going to run, because the ride height is going to affect the angle of the drive shafts, and in turn that's going to mean you need to make a decision on the height of the hub and the height of the diff. So those 3 things need to work together. Set your ride height. Once you've set your ride height, decide where you want to run the hub in terms of whether you want the hub to be lower on the wishbone or higher on the wishbone. And from there, then the final thing that you would check is the diff height. I think those 3 things are not things that I would change just one thing on its own, because it has a knock-on effect. And effectively, in an ideal world, you want these drive shafts to be level on the back of the car for sort of the best performance. Otherwise, you know, if the drive shafts are a little bit high, as the car accelerates, it's going to pull the car down, and if the drive shafts are angled too much as you accelerate, it's going to pull the car up. And what you want is, under that sort of mechanical action of the diff spinning and binding on the dog bones and the drive shafts, that interaction wants to be level. as much as possible around the track, so that the car isn't sort of getting moved around by that sort of mechanical force in the back of the sort of gearbox and drivetrain. So yeah, just keep an eye on those three things. If you look at anybody's car that's going well, you will find that it will be set up effectively to have those dog bones pretty much level. So hopefully that all helps on the dry car. So let's move on and quickly touch on the wet car. So here we've got the wet car. We have run this quite a few times actually, as it happens. It's been very useful to have. Again, XB225D. Very similar to the Carpet car. Main difference really is this always has the ball diff in, and it has a different setup with regard to the shocks and springs, and it has a much milder motor in. We run an 8.5 turn motor in this car, and this one we've got the Xray springs on this, and we've got 2-dot all round. And with the oils, again, we're the same with the pistons, and I think we're 350, 300 on the wet car, so it is a little bit softer. The other sort of thing of significance, hopefully you can see on the back of the car, we've got the disengaged arms on there, which are an aftermarket option. They did come with a 24 car, but everybody seems to run the disengaged arms on the low grip car because it moves, it effectively shortens the chassis, it moves the wheels a lot more forwards, you get a lot more sweep on those front drive shafts, and all of those things give you a lot more rear end grip, and it locks the back of the car in really well. The other main difference on this one is we run a much higher ride height, so we're probably about 18, 19 on this. I mean, you can see just on the desk there, it's really quite, you know, it's really high up, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a lot higher. And the reason we run the car a lot higher and softer is because you want the car to roll. You want it to really roll into the corners, because that's what generates the grip as the car rolls. It's that weight transfer pushing on each side of the car that gives you the grip. And on that note, we've run this inner link on the back of the car. We've only got a 1mm shim under there. I know a lot of people run 0 there, so you're actually getting a lot more camber change as well. So throughout the suspension travel, you're getting more camber change because this link here is lower at the sort of inboard link. I don't think there's anything else really much on this one. The only other thing of note is the pills on the back of the car. On this one, we're not middle. We actually have the pills low. So again, what that's doing is by having the pills with the dots right down in the corner low, we're basically lowering the wishbone. So on the car, we're lowering the wishbones. So all the mass of the car with this sort of setup is higher. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to roll centers and all that kind of craziness. End of the day, all that matters is how does the car feel, how does the car go, and you know, in my sort of simple terms, when you raise the car up and effectively put all of the weight and the mass of the car higher for sort of a given ride height and how the hubs are in relation to the wishbones, what you're doing is you're creating more weight that can move around on the car. It's not like an F1 car where all the weight is right down at the ground and it's you know, it's hunkered down and the chassis is like skimming along the floor. It's the polar opposite of that. You're raising all of the weight. So we're running the wishbone here. Instead of having the wishbone raised up, we're actually running the wishbone, you know, in a lower position, and by doing that, we're raising, you know, higher in all of the mass and the height of the car, so it can roll even more. And then, like I said, we've just got a much milder motor in. The Speedo settings are set a lot milder. on our cars, generally we never run boost. Doesn't matter if it's wet car, dry car, and turbo on this will be, you know, negligible. Might be 10 degrees if that. Totally depends on the track conditions. But this goes absolutely superbly. You'll also notice we've got quite a bigger wing on there with a sort of centre wing and a bigger gurney. So again, all things to try and maximise the amount of downforce on the back of the car, the amount of sort of movement of the weight in the back of the car, all things to maximise the grip on the back of the car. Front of the car, no different really to our carpet car. We don't have the roll bar on here. No roll bar on the front, no roll bar on the back. Everything else on the front of the car is very, very similar to how we would run the carpet car. The only other difference is we've got a steel bulkhead in the front, and that's the wheel speed steel, just to give the car a little bit more weight at the front. Basically, a bit more weight at the front just gives you a bit more steering. I don't care what anybody says, put more weight on the front of the car, you're going to get more steering. It stands to reason. Stick an elephant on the front of your car and drive it down the road and tell me it doesn't steer. It just does. You know, with all of these things, there comes a point where you know, the car will break traction and it will break away. But the reason that we run the wet car sort of much higher and softer to generate roll is to try and sort of soften out that transition from grip to no grip. So the weight's being pushed gently in each direction. It's been the tire's been pushed progressively into the ground. And you can just see when the wet car goes around, you can see how much this car rolls. You know, the back of the car is really moving around a lot, whereas on the dry car, it's, you know, it's staying a lot more level. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to report on that. Nothing unusual going on. Just works really, really well. It's just so good to have this, you know, because in a heartbeat we can be at a race meeting and all of a sudden, boom, we are, you know, in a matter of minutes the track's soaking wet. And obviously this is ready to go. It's got silvers on, soft foams in the silvers as well. We've got tried the new Rude Bits soft foams, and they do work really well, but you need to be careful because the tyre will balloon up quite a lot. But when you're on a two-wheel drive car with not a lot of power, they do work really, really well. And tyres glued down as well. Silver cut staggers glued down. No glue on the tyres really, but they are glued down. So that is the two-wheel drive wet car. If anybody's got any, if you've got any comments, you got any questions, stick them in the thing. If I've got anything wrong, feel free to correct me. And hopefully found it useful. And if you've got any questions, just come and see me or Seth trackside, and we will do our best to help you. But very happy with how the cars are going. No intentions of changing anything drastically. We've got the National coming up at Robin Hood, and the season finals as well up at Durham. I think we'll go along to that, and hopefully we'll get along to the Roger Wood meeting as well at Bury. So hopefully see you guys there. Cheers.